You're welcome back to the Woman Show. My name is Akira, and I'm a nurse by profession, and also I'm an advocate for early detection of cervical cancer. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do subscribe. If it's your first time watching, please just don't watch with us. Subscribe to the channel, and I promise you that whatever content that we have is going to be amazing. You will like it, and there's no way that it will be disappointing to you, because we have good stuff, good information, and then also a lot more coming our way. So please do subscribe. So for today's topic, we are going to discuss depression. Now, I'm sure a lot of people that are watching now have either had an episode of depression or know someone that has ever been depressed before. But more often than not, we misunderstand someone being merely sad and then a depressive person. So let me quickly define what depression is. Like clinically, what we call depression, right? So we define depression as a mood disorder that is characterized by persistent low moods, loss of interest in activities that you would normally do, and feeling of sadness. So the key word here is persistent. Now, before someone is like diagnosed of depression, the persistence of the low moods and loss of interest need to last averagely 6 to 8 months. So you don't just get sad for a day or two and then you say you're depressed. I mean, that can build or can lead to you being depressed, but that alone is not depression. And according to WHO, which is the World Health Organization, the incidence, or let me say how often it happens, is happening around 350 million people. Like globally, 350 million people have depression. And that's alarming, because that's like the most commonest illness any person can get. So next, I'm moving on to the types of depression that we have. I'm sure a lot of people didn't know, but there are actually types. There are two types, mainly. There are two types. There's unipolar and then there's bipolar depression. Now, unipolar is what I just said, or what I just described. That's characterized by the persistent low moods, right? And then the feeling of sadness, and then loss of interest in activities. That's the unipolar. And then the bipolar depression comes in a form of extreme excitement. Let me put it that way. Or let me say, someone is happy now, then the feeling of happiness neutralizes, right? So after the neutralization, the person becomes extremely sad. And it happens in a repetitive mode and also in a very short span. So when you say someone is having like a bipolar depression, the person is happy like now, then 2 minutes later the person is normal, the person is back to being him or herself. Then three minutes later, or like just right afterwards, the person just falls back into a depressive mood. That's what a bipolar depression is. So I would like to talk about the causes of depression next. So my first point that I wrote when I was gathering this information was genetics, right? Genetically, some people have depression in their genes. There's nothing you can do about it. You are born with it, and you need to learn to always try and be active and be in a good mood, be happy, so that you don't get triggered for you to get depression, because it's already designed or pre-designed in your blood, and there's nothing you can actually do about it. The second point was biological changes in neurotransmitter levels. Explaining this particular point, okay, let me make it simple, right? Let me make it simple. So the brain has chemicals inside the brain, and those chemicals are responsible for getting us in the kind of moods that we always are in. Either we are happy or we are sad. The chemicals help in controlling or balancing how we feel. So now when those chemicals drop in amount or in levels, then there's a problem, and then it can lead you into getting depression. So that's how the biological changes work. So if the levels are not the same, you're in trouble. Also, there's environment as a factor. Right now, Ghana is hot. Like, a lot of people are really trying so hard to get things to work for them, but the system or the economy isn't entirely favorable, so people are just stressed, and somebody would just wish they could just get a vacation or something and just leave the country. Once they leave the country, they'll be fine. There's nothing that will trigger them into getting depressed. But this particular environment, be it Ghana, is what is causing them to be depressed. And lastly, we have psychosocial factors. That's a combination of psychological factors and then social factors, be it the person's own mental well-being and then family. So if you have these two conflicting each other, there's going to be a problem, because you're trying to balance the two, and then if they're not properly balanced, you're definitely having an issue. This brings us to the end of today's episode. Thank you for sticking with me through it, and I'm so grateful to have you here. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do subscribe. You can also leave your comments underneath the post and your suggestions for whatever topic you would want me to discuss, or however you think I need to improve myself or giving out this information to people. And then I would really love that you give me a thumbs up, and you also share this information with every person that you can share it with. Do have a lovely time. Bye.